My scars do not define me. My scars tell my story. And so I really appreciate.
For years, Hollywood painted a picture of unshakable sisterhood. Selena Gomez and Francia Raisa weren't just friends. They were celebrated as a living parable of sacrifice, loyalty, and unconditional love. The moment that defined their bond came in 2017, when Francia donated her kidney to Selena during the singer's life-threatening battle with lupus. Headlines hailed them as soul sisters. Fans shared their story as proof that true friendship still existed in the entertainment industry, and an iconic hospital photo circled the globe. To millions, they embodied what it meant to put someone else's life above your own. But behind the glossy magazine spreads and carefully worded captions, shadows began to creep in. Interviews hinted at imbalance, social media posts revealed subtle silences, and whispers of resentment surfaced. How could two women bound by something so profound end up drifting apart so publicly? As the years unfolded, the cracks widened, until one offhand comment and a single Instagram unfollow turned admiration into speculation, and speculation into scandal. Was their friendship ever as real as it seemed? Or was it another Hollywood performance, scripted for applause and doomed by the spotlight? And so the illusion begins to unravel. The story of Selena Gomez and Francia Raisa begins in 2007, long before hospital rooms and headlines. Both were young actresses moving through Disney's orbit. Selena rising as the lead of Wizards of Waverly Place, Francia gaining attention on ABC Family's The Secret Life of the American Teenager. They met at a charity event sponsored by Disney and immediately hit it off. By their own accounts, the friendship felt natural, effortless, and warm. Hollywood loves a narrative, and the industry quickly found one in their bond. The entertainment press began labeling them as inseparable. When Selena's career skyrocketed into music superstardom, Francia was often seen by her side at award shows, movie premieres, and birthday parties. Paparazzi shots of them shopping, laughing in cars, or vacationing together helped cement the idea that this wasn't just friendship. It was sisterhood. In interviews from 2013 and 2014, Selena often referred to Francia as family. Francia, in turn, described Selena as someone she could call at 3 in the morning. For fans, these lines felt intimate and raw, the sort of authenticity that was rare in Hollywood. Yet the machinery of publicity was also at work. Stylists coordinated their looks when they walked carpets. Publicists booked joint appearances. When Selena was interviewed about her music, Francia would sometimes be mentioned as a stabilizing influence, a real friend amid the chaos of fame. Then came the turning point, the moment that forever etched their friendship into pop culture history. In the summer of 2017, Selena revealed to the world that she had undergone a kidney transplant due to complications from lupus. The donor, she disclosed on Instagram, was none other than Francia Raisa. The photo was striking. 2 hospital beds. Side by side, the women holding hands, hospital bracelets still on. "There aren't words to describe how I can possibly thank my beautiful friend," Selena wrote, calling the surgery the ultimate gift and sacrifice. The post went viral instantly. Within hours, major outlets like People, Billboard, and E! News ran front-page stories framing the transplant as proof of a friendship so profound it transcended the glittering artifice of celebrity. The photo earned over 11 million likes in a matter of days, one of the most engaged posts of that year. Fans around the world called Francia a hero, hailing her as the best friend anyone could dream of having. Red carpet appearances following. The surgery reinforced this narrative. When Selena made her return at the 2017 American Music Awards, performing Wolves, the audience applauded not just her resilience, but also Francia's quiet strength. Headlines often mentioned them, in the same breath, with titles like, "Selena and Francia's Sisterhood Inspires Hollywood." Even when Francia wasn't physically present, Her name hovered around Selena's public image, a reminder of the sacrifice she made. Talk shows and magazine covers leaned into the storyline. Both women did joint interviews where they shared emotional details about the surgery. Francia described the harrowing process of being tested, preparing for the operation, and waking up in pain but grateful. Selena often teared up when recounting the moment she learned her friend was a match. Together, they embodied Hollywood's most powerful marketing tool, the fusion of personal struggle and loyal friendship, wrapped in a narrative that audiences could consume, admire, and emulate. By 2018, their friendship wasn't just a personal bond. It was a brand. Social media celebrated them as role models. Articles called them sisters, not just friends. Francia's name was forever linked to Selena's survival story. And for a time it seemed like the friendship was unbreakable and unshakable, truth forged in blood, sacrifice, and gratitude. Illusion hardened into truth. For a while, the friendship between Selena Gomez and Francia Raisa seemed untouchable. But as with many Hollywood stories, what looked flawless on the outside began to show cracks under pressure. The first signs were subtle. Industry insiders whispered about credit, who was truly acknowledged for the narrative of survival. Selena, as the global superstar, received endless headlines, praise, and awards for her resilience. Francia, though hailed briefly as a hero, was quickly relegated to the footnotes. In interviews promoting her music and projects, Selena would sometimes reference the transplant, but rarely linger on her friend's sacrifice. Francia's name began fading from the spotlight, even as her kidney lived on inside Selena. Was this imbalance intentional, or simply the gravity of fame pulling focus back to the star? Money and power dynamics also played a role. Selena's estimated net worth soared past $50 million by 2019, with new albums, brand endorsements, and her hit series 13 Reasons Why under her executive producer credit. Francia, though successful in her own right, could not match that level of visibility or financial clout. The asymmetry created an undercurrent. One friend became a global icon, the other a symbol tied to a single act of generosity. Then came the pattern of absence. At red carpets where they once appeared side by side, Francia was missing. When Selena celebrated milestones, her Puma campaigns in 2018, her Rare album release in 2020, Francia's presence was conspicuously absent. Fans who once delighted in their shared photos began asking, "Where's Francia?" On social media, the silence grew louder. By late 2019, eagle-eyed followers noticed they had unfollowed each other on Instagram. For an ordinary pair of friends, this might have gone unnoticed. But in the hyper-surveilled world of celebrity culture, an unfollow was a declaration. Paparazzi photos added fuel. In 2018 and 2019, Selena was photographed on yachts, with a glass of alcohol in hand. For many, this was an ordinary act of adulthood. But to fans who knew the backstory, it clashed sharply with the narrative of kidney donation. Francia, who had endured the surgery and recovery, was rumored to be upset. According to sources cited by TMZ and Us Weekly, the two argued about Selena's lifestyle choices, particularly whether she was taking her health, and Francia's gift. Seriously enough, Francia herself, in a 2019 interview, spoke vaguely about setting boundaries and choosing to prioritize her well-being in friendships. Though she never named Selena directly, fans interpreted the remarks as veiled references. The silences stretched longer. When Selena turned 27 in July 2019, Francia posted nothing publicly. In 2020, during the release of Selena's documentary-style cooking show, Selena Plus Chef, Francia was notably absent from the roster of guests, despite being one of the most important figures in her personal journey. Even in small details, birthday posts, casual shout-outs, the omission was striking. By 2021, patterns had become impossible to ignore. Francia and Selena rarely appeared in the same orbit. No joint interviews, no red carpets, no social media acknowledgments. For fans, the narrative had shifted from inseparable sisters to estranged friends. Rumors grew so persistent that both women occasionally had to field questions about the status of their relationship, with answers that sounded polite but hollow. The contrast between their personalities also sharpened the divide. Selena, accustomed to the global stage, leaned into vulnerability as part of her brand, open about mental health struggles, lupus battles, heartbreaks, and recovery. Francia, on the other hand, spoke more privately, often using her platform for fitness and advocacy. Their rhythms diverged, one embracing mass media confessions, the other choosing restraint. By the time 2022 arrived, what was once dismissed as gossip had hardened into a visible rift. The public no longer wondered if something had gone wrong. They simply debated how bad it had become. Cracks were no longer rumors. The illusion of sisterhood collapsed in November 2022. Selena Gomez, promoting her Apple TV Plus documentary My Mind and Me, sat down with Rolling Stone for a wide-ranging profile. In the interview, she spoke candidly about her struggles with mental health, fame, and isolation. But one line, seemingly casual, ignited a firestorm. Selena remarked, "I never fit in with a cool group of girls that were celebrities. My only friend in the industry really is Taylor Swift." It was a statement intended to underline her bond with Swift, but its implication was deafening. Francia Raisa, the woman who had donated a kidney to her just 5 years earlier, was nowhere in the frame. Within hours, entertainment outlets pounced. Entertainment Tonight, People, and BuzzFeed ran headlines. Selena Gomez calls Taylor Swift her only celebrity friend. Fans ask, what about Francia Raisa? On social media, the backlash was swift. Screenshots of the quote trended on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, with thousands of comments questioning how Selena could erase Francia's role in her life. Then, Francia herself entered the conversation. From her verified Instagram account, she commented beneath an E! News post of the Rolling Stone interview with a single word: interesting. It was brief, sharp, and impossible to misinterpret. Fans immediately screen-capped the remark before it disappeared. Soon after, Francia unfollowed Selena on Instagram. What might have been brushed aside as a slip of the tongue had now become a full-fledged scandal. Francia's silence had broken, and her subtle shade carried more weight than 1,000 words. The digital battlefield lit up. On Twitter, hashtags like Respect Francia and We Love Selena began trending simultaneously. Supporters of Francia argued that Selena had shown ingratitude and carelessness by excluding her from such a pivotal narrative. Others defended Selena, suggesting that the quote was taken out of context and that she had been speaking specifically about the music industry rather than personal life. Still, the damage was done. Memes circulated comparing Taylor Swift's metaphorical support with Francia's literal organ donation. TikTok users stitched videos of the interesting comment with clips from Selena's documentary, painting contrasting pictures of loyalty and neglect. Major outlets fueled the discourse. Daily Mail published a timeline of the friendship's highs and lows. BuzzFeed ran a think piece titled, Why Selena's Comments About Francia Hurt So Much. In the court of public opinion, both women became reluctant players in a narrative they no longer controlled. Selena responded days later. In a TikTok live, she addressed the backlash with a calm but firm tone. "Sorry I didn't mention every person I know." Her words were meant as an apology, or at least a clarification, but to many it came off as dismissive. Francia, meanwhile, offered no direct statement, but her actions spoke louder. She avoided all press mentions and posted cryptic TikToks about friendship and betrayal. By late 2022, the sisterhood that had once been immortalized in hospital photos was officially fractured in the public eye. The very friendship that had symbolized sacrifice and loyalty now symbolized something else: The fragility of bonds under the weight of fame, gratitude, and expectation. In Hollywood, silence is often a strategy. But this time, the silence was deafening. What began as admiration had spiraled into accusation, and the narrative that once inspired millions now divided them. The mask shattered in public. The fallout from the Rolling Stone controversy didn't vanish with a few Instagram comments. Instead, it reshaped the way both Selena Gomez and Francia Raisa were perceived, not just as individuals, but as cultural symbols of loyalty, gratitude, and betrayal. Selena's initial response came through her TikTok live session, where she said, "Sorry I didn't mention every person I know." Delivered in her trademark calm cadence, it was meant to diffuse the storm. Yet many fans interpreted it as cold and dismissive, as if the bond that had once been hailed as life-saving could now be condensed into an afterthought. Critics on Twitter accused her of minimizing Francia's sacrifice, while others rushed to defend Selena, insisting the context had been blown out of proportion. Francia's reaction was quieter, but no less powerful. After her pointed "interesting" comment and subsequent unfollow, she largely avoided press. Yet in March 2023, she posted a TikTok where she lip-synced to the line, "True friends don't do interviews like that." The clip was short, playful on the surface, but unmistakably barbed. Fans instantly connected the dots. It wasn't a direct confrontation, but it was a clear message. Wounds still lingered. The divide bled into their careers. Selena's Apple TV Plus documentary, My Mind and Me, continued to receive critical acclaim, praised for its raw honesty about fame and mental health. Francia, meanwhile, carried the weight of being forever tied to Selena's story. In interviews for her own projects, questions about the kidney inevitably resurfaced, overshadowing her acting work. What once elevated her as a hero now risked reducing her identity to the friend who gave Selena a kidney. Media think pieces poured in. BuzzFeed questioned whether Hollywood friendships could ever be authentic when shaped under the pressure of image-making. Ella explored the gendered expectations of gratitude. Why was Francia expected to remain silent and saint-like, while Selena was scrutinized for every word? The cut noted how the narrative of best friends had been commodified, turned into headlines, hashtags, and emotional currency, until it collapsed under its own weight. The personal toll was equally stark. Fans combed through episodes of Selena plus Chef, pointing out Francia's absence. When Selena's hit documentary, My Mind and Me, premiered, the omission of Francia's perspective felt glaring. In contrast, Francia leaned into new projects but never escaped the shadow of 2017. In Hollywood terms, one woman's brand thrived, while the other's image remained tethered to a story of sacrifice that was no longer celebrated, only debated. By mid-2023, both women were forced to navigate the narrative carefully. Selena, known for her openness, chose silence when Francia's name surfaced in interviews. Francia, loyal to her own boundaries, refused to clarify whether the friendship was repairable. In the absence of definitive answers, the public filled the void with speculation. The scandal also rippled into fandom culture. Online communities split into factions. Team Francia accused Selena of ingratitude, while Team Selena claimed Francia sought validation through shade. It became less about the actual women and more about the archetypes they represented. The ungrateful star versus the wounded friend, the survivor versus the sacrificer. In Hollywood, absence often says more than presence. Francia's lack of acknowledgement in Selena's projects became a storyline of its own. When Only Murders in the Building won critical acclaim, fans asked whether Francia had attended the premieres. She hadn't. When Selena was photographed celebrating her 30th birthday in July 2022, Francia was nowhere to be seen. The distance itself became a character in the narrative. By 2024, the friendship was no longer defined by what was said, but by what wasn't. The silence between them echoed louder than the hospital photo that had once united them. For audiences, who had once celebrated their bond as proof of true friendship, the disintegration was sobering. The absence became a character. The collapse of Selena Gomez and Francia Raisa's bond left more than just bruised feelings. It left a cultural imprint, a cautionary tale about the way Hollywood constructs, markets, and ultimately consumes friendship. At its peak, their story was packaged as a modern fable. The kidney transplant of 2017 wasn't simply a medical procedure. It was transformed into a parable of loyalty, broadcast through Instagram captions, amplified by news outlets, and immortalized in award show speeches. Fans weren't just watching two women support each other. They were invited to participate in a collective celebration of sacrifice and gratitude. In a world saturated with celebrity feuds, the Selena Francia story was sold as proof that true friendship could triumph over fame. But when cracks appeared, the very machinery that once elevated them began dismantling the myth. Every unfollow, every missing birthday post, every cryptic comment became a headline. The narrative was no longer about survival, but about silence. The hospital photo once symbolized unity. Now it felt like a haunting reminder of how fragile even the most dramatic acts of love could become under the spotlight. Hollywood has a long history of marketing intimacy. From Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie's sisterhood-turned-scandal to Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez's fractured childhood friendship, the industry thrives on packaging closeness as part of the product. Co-stars are presented as confidants. Red carpet stage manage camaraderie, and PR teams sell sisterhood to make projects more relatable. Yet when those bonds break, the fallout becomes just as profitable. Audiences click, comment, and share, keeping the cycle alive. The legacy of Selena and Francia's friendship is therefore double-edged. On one hand, it remains inspiring, proof that acts of extraordinary generosity do exist. Francia's kidney donation is undeniable, an act of courage that extended a life. On the other hand, the breakdown highlights the uncomfortable truth. Even the deepest gestures can be overshadowed by the pressures of fame, the imbalance of celebrity, and the hunger of a media machine eager to find cracks in the veneer. What makes this story particularly resonant is how it mirrors a broader cultural shift. Audiences today are more media literate. They no longer accept glossy PR narratives at face value. They ask, who benefits from this storyline? Who is silenced? And who gets the spotlight? The Selena Francia saga became a case study in that awakening. Fans scrutinized interviews, dissected TikToks, and debated intentions with the rigor of cultural critics. The friendship was no longer private. It was a public text to be analyzed, memed, and judged. And so their legacy lives in paradox. Selena continues as a global superstar, Francia as a respected actress and advocate, but their bond survives mainly as discourse. To some, it's a tragedy of ingratitude. To others, it's a reminder that friendships, like any relationship, can evolve, fracture, and sometimes end, even under extraordinary circumstances. Above all, it leaves us with a lingering question. If even a kidney cannot guarantee loyalty in Hollywood, what chance does any friendship have under the relentless gaze of the public eye? The cultural footprint is unmistakable. We remember the photo, the gift, the silence, the unfollow. We remember how a private act of generosity became a global headline, and how that headline became a ghost. This is the paradoxical legacy of a manufactured friendship, celebrated, commodified, and ultimately consumed. So what do we make of Selena Gomez and Francia Raisa's story? Was it a friendship forged in love and sacrifice, or a Hollywood tale that collapsed under the weight of expectation? For a time, the world believed in their sisterhood. Today, what remains is debate, speculation, and the undeniable truth that even extraordinary acts cannot shield a bond from fracture. Do you believe this was ever real friendship, or simply a narrative polished for the spotlight? Was it betrayal, or was it simply two lives drifting apart under the pressures of fame? We want to hear your thoughts. Share your perspective in the comments below, and let's keep the discussion respectful. And if you want more untold stories of Hollywood's hidden fractures, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Because in Hollywood, even friendship comes with a script.